Hey guys, thanks for stopping by at alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. This video today is to provide to you an overview on what I think it has more upside. Is it MicroStrategy, MSTR, or is it Marathon Holdings, Mara, a Bitcoin mining company? We'll go into the details from a technical analysis standpoint with the current share price of MSTR and Mara. And what upside do we see heading into the new year? We'll also go through a couple of news updates with each company, and I'll give to you my overall insights on what company I think has more upside. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you smashing the like and subscribing to All I See Is W for more related content. Let's begin. First, I'd like to just go through the comparison between MSTR and Mara. So what we see down below this pink line here is basically the overall performance from a 1 year time frame for Mara. As you can see here, up through early December, we've seen a gain of 83% for Mara, just comparing it from last year to this year. Now, when you look at MSTR has been a workhorse, and congratulations to you investors who've kept MSTR long term, even with the reverse split. That is just huge gains. I mean, you look at it, current state 607%. In fact, it was higher to about 800% gains. We'll go into the details onto why we see this sudden drop here. Most of you are wondering, does MSTR have potential to go back up? I mean, what's causing this price decrease here? Is it because there's just been so much momentum with the price of Bitcoin hovering up? We know that Donald Trump, early November, he became the new president, and he will have that inauguration that will take place. But a lot of this increase here was attributed to the new president, Donald Trump. Now, what is causing this drop here? So we know that just with the recent news with Citron actually putting a short puts on MicroStrategy, I think a lot of investors got worried here. The good news is, I mean, if you've held on to MSTR at the rate of like 800% gains, taking profits is such a smart thing, because in the stock market, what goes up will eventually go back down very quick. And depending on how fast it goes up, it can go down very fast. Now, most of you are wondering whether it's going to V-shape back up. Let's say if and when Bitcoin breaks through that 100,000 rally, MSTR, is there a potential to go up? Yes, it can, definitely. But just looking at it from a value standpoint, I do think that MSTR, it's blowing off some steam here, because there's a lot of profit taking going on here once MSTR just broke through that high point range. And we see with Mara here, I do think that with the Bitcoin miners, including Mara, the miners have been undervalued. It's been lagging behind the rise in the price of Bitcoin, but we're beginning to see a sudden upward trend here. Now, just going back to year to date here, we see a more zoomed in perspective with MicroStrategy. Before that Citron short puts, I mean, it was up very high, but lately it's just been hovering down here. So I think there's been a lot more profit taking, and there's circulation of MSTR profits into other companies similar to like Mara. Most of you are wondering, if we zoom in more on a 3 month trail here, 182% gain, while Mara is at 50% gain. So just from a technical analysis, in terms of just value creation, I do think from a technical analysis standpoint with stocks, I think that Mara has that potential to break out, and it hasn't yet. We've seen that if we zoom out here on a 5 year range back in 2021, Mara just ramped all the way up. Granted, the amount of available shares isn't the same as what we currently have, but I think that just with the overall market sentiment right now, there's just money circulation on profit taking on this premium company like MSTR flowing into other companies. Let's go into the details with this article here from Yahoo Finance. So just to give you some updates on what we saw. So there was that short report from Citron Research that came out November 21, and that's what led to the stock dropping almost 40%, subsequently burning retails in the process. This drop coincided with Bitcoin dropping almost 10% to 90,000 from its all-time high of just shy 100,000. Now, what does this mean here? MicroStrategy, they actually hold, I mean, at the time, 386,000 Bitcoins, which is worth 36 million. I mean, there's no other company out there that holds this much Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that's really what the business model here at MicroStrategy is all about, having that HODL approach. Now, another article here is that there's talks about how MicroStrategy may be included in the NASDAQ 100, and this could reportedly spark up 2 billion of fund inflows. If when MicroStrategy joins the NASDAQ 100, I think that that's really going to benefit investors of MSTR. So that's the positive side, and that will result in being part of like the QQQ that we hear about. So this would be really good news on top of just with all of the market sentiment. In fact, Bernstein, he described MicroStrategy as a Bitcoin magnet right now. And I think with the whole world wanting to get into Bitcoin, MSTR, especially with the loans that they're taking out through the convertible notes with the 0% interest, I think their strategy is just to borrow money, acquire more Bitcoin, add it to their balance sheet. They know that Bitcoin is going to be scarce, and at one point they're just going to gain so much on the profits. Now, you're wondering, is MSTR, is it time to buy, sell, or hold? Just so that you are aware, Bitcoin prices it soared to nearly 100,000 in late November following Trump's election win, and MicroStrategy at that point climbed about 56%. However, we've seen the recent drop off, but the good news that we should also keep in mind is when Trump he spoke at the largest Bitcoin conference in July in Tennessee, was that the American country would be the crypto capital of the planet and Bitcoin super world, power of the world. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And that's why now there's just so much direction in acquiring much more Bitcoin. So the good news is that if Bitcoin continues to go up and breaks through, I think 150,000, MicroStrategy's share price will continue to go up. But from a risk standpoint, I definitely think that there's more potential downside than the upside with a company like MicroStrategy, given the fact that it's run up 800% within the year at one point. So is MicroStrategy a buy, sell, or hold? From this article, what this article is basically telling us, which is in alignment with my assessment, that it's not in a buy zone. It's not buying low, selling high, but it's buying high, selling low if you look at it that way. So with this stock's rapid run, it would be prudent to take some profits if you had some after late November drop. So that's my overall assessment with MSTR. Here's another article here on whether it's time to jump ship with MicroStrategy stock. So this writer here, he has a contrarian perspective on MSTR. However, it's not consistent with all of the analyst rating. What we see here with the analyst rating is out of the eight analysts are recommending a buy with the high price of 650 price forecast with a low point of 270. We don't know if this will be the overall 12-month trajectory. It's just a forecast, but just letting you know that this is based on the financial analysts here. Now, just wanted to share with you on X here, MicroStrategy has acquired 15,000 Bitcoin for 1.5 billion at the 95,000 Bitcoin price and has achieved Bitcoin yield of 38.7 quarter to date alone and 63.3% year to date as of December 2nd. Now, currently, Bitcoin reserve, they have about 402,000 Bitcoins on their balance sheet at the overall price of 58,000. So definitely they've doubled their money by just buying Bitcoin. 402%. I mean, congratulations to MSTR. They hold about 2% of all Bitcoin around the world right now. So that's their strategy. And the question is, will there be any other company that's going to have more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy? The answer is likely no. But from a value standpoint, will the share price continue to go up? It could possibly, but there's also risk implications to consider. Now let's talk about MARA here. So I wanted to go through MARA's recent updates that was announced yesterday. So their energized hash rate increased from 15% to 46 exahash with 254 blocks won in November, which was a significant month-over-month increase of 27%. So that's just bullish news. And just with the recent announcement for November production data, the month to date was that MARA mined 907 Bitcoin. That's record numbers post the recent halving in April. So there's no other company right now that can mine at this rate. I believe CleanSpark announced that they were in the 600 range, while Riot just announced today as well that they got close to the 500 range. So Mara is the number one leading company in terms of Bitcoin mining because you can see from their operational efficiencies here, mining 907 Bitcoins, while also taking on the strategy of MicroStrategy purchasing an additional 6,500 Bitcoins purchase. So their total HODL Bitcoin reserve right now, as of November 30th, is close to about 35,000 Bitcoin. So number two in terms of companies that have the most amount of Bitcoin. So 10% equivalent to what MSTR has on their balance sheet currently. So definitely great news here. Although we saw a negative correlation with the share price, even though we saw really good news that came out with their November production data. And just to share with you, just recently, yesterday as well, towards the evening timeframe, is Mara continues to take additional loans with the 0% interest all the way up through 2031. Their goal is to just buy more Bitcoin, whether that's going to be a cash equivalent or available stocks. But that's an additional $1 billion in loans that they have equipped to either repurchase more Bitcoin, pay off their debt, or just follow through on their business model, the HODL approach, increase their hash rate, expand globally using energy efficient technology to mine more Bitcoin because that's the name of the game now with Bitcoin becoming much more scarce. So their proceeds will be used primarily to acquire Bitcoin and just repurchase existing convertible notes due in 2026. So overall, from a share price standpoint, is MSTR or Mara a better buy? I think that if I had $1 million, or if I had $1,000, if I had $100,000, or even $100, if I were to place my bet on the company that will perform, I'm going to say that because MSTR was the number one workhorse in the year 2024, I don't think that MSTR will have that same workhorse trajectory performance in the 2025 year. And I think Mara is definitely more undervalued. It hasn't performed with that type of workhorse percentage in terms of profit. So I would put my money on Mara as the undervalued play, while I would consider MSTR as the overvalued stock play currently. So that's my key takeaway. But again, when you do make investments, always please make sure to do your research when you make any investment decisions. So there you have it. I hope that you found this video valuable. And if you did, please make sure to hit the like, subscribe. I'd love to hear what your comments, questions, perspectives are in the comments below. Thank you.